All right, welcome back to the next video of naming and formula writing. This will be a lesson that is explaining level 2 of naming and formula writing. And the reason it's level 2 is we're adding a new dynamic that is called polyatomic ions. If you haven't watched level 1, I suggest you go back and watch that because we're going to skip over a lot of the introductory pieces of how to do this. So when we add a polyatomic ion into naming, there's a place in the reference table that we're going to look. So it makes this really easy. Even though it's the next step, it is still relatively simple. So a polyatomic ion is a group of covalently bonded atoms that together behave like an ion. And one of the most easy ones to understand is NH4. Now, NH4 are 4 hydrogens that are covalently bonded to a nitrogen. When this arrangement occurs, the whole molecule is not neutral. It behaves in a positive one manner, meaning that combination of elements gives away an electron. So we're dealing with a covalent molecule that is actually behaving like an ion. Right? This NH4 plus does the exact same electron movement as Na plus does. Just more stuff put together. So in your reference table, you will find table E. Oh, I can't write it? Oh, I can. I've never used this app before. So table E lists all of the formulas and the names of the polyatomics that you need to be aware of. So there's no memorizing here. If you can identify that NO2 is in a chemical formula, then the name of that part of that formula is called nitrite. Or if you can identify that OH minus is somewhere in there, that part of the molecule is named hydroxide. So, back to Cami, we can just go through and name these polyatomic ions just from table E. NH4. You know what might be easier? Let's try this. You're seeing a world premiere here. Put that over there. Put that over there. Woo-wee! Split screening. Okay, we'll do this. Come over here. Make it easier to see. Awesome. Right? And basically, the names of these just come right off the table. NH4. NH4 is called ammonium. SO4. SO4 2 minus is called sulfate. NO2. We did that one. Nitrate and H3O. Hydronium. Those are their names. So now we're going to try and put these polyatomics into a formula with another element. Now, very different from level 1, level 2 has more than 2 elements. When you can identify that there are more than 2 elements in a formula, some part of that is going to come from table E. The hardest thing is to figure out what part of it is. So for the first one, we've got KOH. We're either trying to find KO on table E, or we're trying to find OH on table E. Now we've already figured out from before that OH is called hydroxide. So our naming is exactly as it was before. K is called potassium, and we never changed the name of the metal, we just leave it as potassium. And since that part comes off of table E, we just name it potassium hydroxide. It is that straightforward. Let's do another one. we've got MgPO4 2. Well, this being in parentheses is a nice indication that that is the piece that comes off of table E. And if we look at it, PO4 is right here. It's called phosphate. So if I'm going to be naming this thing, I'm going to be including the name phosphate. Mg is called magnesium. Phosphate. And that's how you name that. You take the piece that you know, you take the piece from table E, and you just marry them together. I'll do one more for us from here because the next part takes a little bit more thinking. And NH4Cl. So either I'm going to find NH4 on table E, or I'm going to find H4Cl. In looking over here, I can find ammonium right there, and I'm going to name it ammonium. I have to name this second part, and that's chlorine. But we have to remember from level 1, right? Just naming binaries. It wouldn't just be called chlorine, it would be called chloride. So that would be called ammonium chloride. Now down here, things are a little bit different. Can you just check if he's standing out there waiting for me? Sorry, we had an intruder. Down here, I'm going to do 2 examples, maybe 3 for you. The first one is calcium nitrate. Now, here I see this is nitrate. What we would normally see, if it was just one element, is it would say nitride. So I know that if it doesn't say nitride and it says nitrate, this is a special case. And special cases come from table E. So calcium is Ca. I can write that. Nitrate with an A is right here, and it's NO3. The thing I tell my students to do is anytime you take something off of table E, always put it in parentheses. Just do it. You will save yourself a lot of headache if you know that that grouping is stuck together. And so now you have your Ca, you have your NO3. We go back to what we learned the last time. And we write in the charges. Calcium is a +2, and it's always a +2. Nitrate is a -1 ion. And so with nitrate being a -1 ion, I can write that number right here. Now, regardless of what you do, whether you try and balance it with pluses and minuses, or if you crisscross and simplify, you're all going to end up with the same answer. How does this +2 bond perfectly to that -1? And if you crisscross, let me use a different color for this. If you crisscross, we take this 2 and we make it the subscript of my whole polyatomic ion. We take my -1, or just the 1, and it becomes the subscript for my calcium. And what I'm left with is CaNO3 2. Now you see, by putting the parentheses there before anything happened and leaving them there, it makes it really easy for me to know where that 2 is supposed to go. It goes on the outside of the whole polyatomic ion. Let's work with another one that's challenging. How about aluminum sulfate? Perfect. We'll do aluminum sulfate. So aluminum is an element with the symbol Al. Sulfate doesn't end in "ide," so it gives me a little indication it comes off of the table. Here it is. So SO4 is my ion. I put it in parentheses, close it up, keep it nice and neat. According to my reference table, aluminum is a +3. According to table E, sulfate is a -2. And now what I'm dealing with is a +3 ion and a -2 ion, and we need to figure out what combination has their charges balanced. And if we crisscross, we'll see it really quick and easy. But remember, when you crisscross, to always check and simplify. My 3 becomes my subscript over here. My 2 becomes my subscript over here. And when we clean this up with writing in our subscripts, Al2, parenthesis, SO4, 3. This would be the final answer for aluminum sulfate. And it's the only answer. So, I'll leave this here for anybody who maybe doesn't have this sheet and wants some extra things to look at. These are some other examples that you can practice on your own. If you're in my class, I'm expecting you to fill these out before you come back and check with me. And I hope this helped. I hope this video helped you understand how to work through level 2 of naming by adding the additional component of the table E in your reference table. If this video was helpful, please help me out. Like the video, subscribe, and keep watching because level 3 is coming up next.